What if everything you've ever experienced, your memories, your body, the sky above you, wasn't base reality? What if the universe itself is more like a program and consciousness is simply logged in? This is the simulation theory, the idea that reality may not be fundamental but computed. And surprisingly, this isn't science fiction. It's a serious hypothesis discussed by physicists, philosophers, and AI researchers. So today, let's break it down clearly, and by the end of this video, the walls of your room might start looking a little thin. Let's dive in. What is the simulation theory? Why do intelligent people take it seriously? And what would it mean for us if it were true? Let's start with the basics. At its core, the simulation theory suggests that reality as we experience it is an artificial simulation, likely created by an advanced intelligence. Think of it like this. Look at Pong from 1972, 2 rectangles and a dot. Now look at Unreal Engine 5. We've gone from pixels to near photorealism in just 50 years. Today, they're immersive, realistic, and interactive. Now, imagine we project that forward thousands or millions of years. If technology keeps advancing at the scale it is now, it becomes theoretically possible to simulate entire worlds, including conscious beings inside them. And if that's possible, this question becomes uncomfortable. How do we know we're not already inside one? One of the strongest arguments for the simulation theory comes from philosopher Nick Bostrom at Oxford University.
There is this article that I published back in 2003 presenting the simulation argument.
His logic goes like this. If a civilization A survives long enough, B becomes technologically advanced, and C has interest in simulations, then it would likely run millions or billions of simulated realities at once, which means for every one base reality, there could be countless simulated ones. And statistically, that would make it far more likely to be living in a simulation than in the original reality, and not because it feels fake, but because of what maths tells us. If you're a programmer, you don't build a world to sit still. You run it to see what happens, which means we aren't the main characters, we're the calculation, and that's what unsettles people the most. A common objection to this theory is, if we were in a simulation, wouldn't it feel fake? You can feel your phone in your hands, you can taste the food you eat, but your brain is already a master simulator. Think about your dreams. Last night, you were in a world with gravity, light, and feelings. Your brain convinced you it was 100% real until you opened your eyes, but only because you rely on the thought that it isn't real. But think of it this way. If your brain can create environments, generate emotions, and simulates physical sensations, and whilst you're inside the dream, it feels completely real, you wake up and remember it as if you've experienced it, so surely it must be real, right? Reality could work the exact same way. Simulation theory doesn't say the world doesn't exist. It says the world around us is information that we decode, not matter. If your consciousness is fed consistent information, it doesn't matter whether that information comes from neurons or code. To the experiencer, that is their true reality. Supporters of the simulation idea often point to strange features of reality, not as proof, but as curiosities. For example, we know the universe runs on mathematical rules. Reality isn't chaotic, it's deeply structured, like code is, and that structure can be described with astonishing precision using mathematics. Every fundamental force in nature is governed by precise equations, not approximations, equations that reality actually follows. The universe also uses fixed numerical constants, almost like parameters. Change them slightly, and nothing we know could exist. There are limits to reality, and at the smallest scale, reality isn't smooth. There are minimum units of space, time, and energy. This doesn't mean reality is written in computer code, but it does suggest the universe runs on information, rules, and limits, much like a computational system similar to a video game. Consciousness is still unexplained. We can map the brain, but we don't know why and how experience exists at all. Some argue consciousness might not be generated by the simulation, but interfacing with it. Again, none of this proves anything, but it does raise more questions. Here's where it gets a little more serious. In 2024, we saw the rise of OpenAI's Sora and digital twins. In 2026, we're already building sim Earths to predict climate change, virtual worlds, and simulated conversations with AI agents. If we create an AI that is conscious and it lives inside a server, that AI would think its world is base reality. It would write its own poems and feel its own soul, and we're only at the beginning. If we can simulate this kind of intelligence now, what will be possible in 500 years? If future humans run simulations for research, for entertainment, or to study, then simulated minds become inevitable. And if that future exists, the simulation theory becomes less speculative and more likely to be the case. Are we the creators, or are we just the AI from the previous generation? Let me know what you think in the comments. It's important to say this clearly. The simulation theory is not proven. There's currently no experiment that confirms it, no observation that definitively supports it. Many scientists actually argue that the theory is untestable, and therefore not science at all, but philosophy. And that's fair, but philosophy has always been where big ideas start. Atoms, space-time, even evolution were once unprovable concepts. Here's the most important part. Whether or not we're in a simulation, your experiences still matter. Pain still hurts. Love still feels real. Choices still shape outcomes. If reality is simulated, then meaning doesn't disappear. It becomes rarer and more lost in the illusion of chaos in our day-to-day lives. Consciousness would be something precious enough to simulate, and that leads to the final question. If this is a simulation, is it random? A test? A story? Or something we're not meant to wake up inside of? We may never know the answer, but the fact that we can even ask this question might be the strangest part of all. So, what do you think? Are we in a simulation? Or is reality far deeper than we can currently understand? Let me know your theories in the comments below and subscribe for part 2. Thanks for watching.